Somebody joining from Dublin, another person joining from Calgary, Manitoba. I can see Alberta. I can see Georgia in the building, Vancouver, Morocco. Thank you, thank you. All right, so we've got people from everywhere, from all around the globe, so to speak, and more people are joining the call, so that's great. Now, if you were not in class one, it will be nice for you to go back after this class and look at class one. We have the video already up on YouTube. It's open to everyone. You can all see, watch the class. So please go on there um and watch the videos. It will really, really help you. Now I'm gonna be, I'll just do a brief recap. Is that okay? So I'll do a brief recap of the things we said in the first class. So in the first class, which happened on the 18th, all right, I introduced myself. For those of you who probably don't know who I am, I introduced myself. We went into the introduction of business analysis, how to transition with no experience, and I'm going to be hinting on that again today. I'm going to say a lot on that today. So, and then we talked about some, the practical work. We're not able to get into it, so we'll get into it today. I talked about business analysis and what business analysis is. I told you it's the practice of enabling change. And, one of the things you get to realize today is that irrespective of where you find yourself or irrespective of the experience from which you're coming from, there is some kind of transferable experience or transferable change that you bring with you, along that journey to help you transition seamlessly to this new career. All right. So we looked at business analysis as the practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. Now, we broke that down a bit further in that class. I told you what change meant. I told you what an enterprise meant. I told you what needs meant. I told you what solutions meant. I told you what value meant. I told you what stakeholders, actually meant. And then we were able to amalgamate. You see, we're able to bring all of these together and, create a new definition of business analysis that was really down to earth and very, 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 very focused, right? Business analysis is the practice of enabling change, where change is you creating something new or modifying something that was already there. Now, in an enterprise, and we said that the enterprise is an organization that is built on processes, is built on products, is built on people, is built on technology and policies. So if you're changing something as a BA, it will be any of these things. It will be either a process, it will either be the people you're working with, it will be the products, the technology, the policies. We mentioned and we talked about all of that. By first defining the needs, by first understanding the problems, understanding the opportunities. And for those of you who will be moving on to the next week, I'll be helping you understand how do you do that needs assessment? How do you assess the need? How do you unpack the problem? How do you unpack the opportunities? How do you also, unpack the solution? And then recommending solutions, which could be an approach, which could be design, which could be technology, which could be a feature, which could be a step in the process that will deliver benefits to the people that has some type of connection with the change that you are trying to bring about, to the need that is already existent, or to the solution that you're trying to work out. So we looked at all of these and all of the components, and we talked about change. We talked about how it is driven within the context of a project. We talked about the different things you might be involved in when you become a BA. So needs assessment, stakeholder engagement, requirement elicitation and analysis, the requirement documentation, problem solving, traceability, solution evaluation. We looked at all of these things. And then we looked at who exactly is a BA. And we took a definition from the Bible Guide that helps us see that a BA is not necessarily someone with the title. And that is where you have an advantage, where you can take something you've done in the past and translate it to an equivalent BA experience. Why? Because business analysis is not about the title. It's about the task that you do within, that particular job function. So no matter your job title, organizational role, if you have done any of these things that has to do with business analysis, you can actually claim a business analysis experience. Okay, maybe you've driven change, maybe you've improved business processes, maybe you've helped to launch a new product, maybe you've improved the current state or set of of a product or service, or you've made the process more efficient, or you've recommended solutions, if you've done any of these things. And I remember asking the question the other day, and so many people were like, I've done 9, I've done 7, I've done 3, I've done, all of that stuff. And you could see that you are a business analyst. And we looked at the roles and responsibilities of a BA, and then I went and then showed you some other things. Today, we are going to be looking at the competencies of a BA. I'm going to show you a day in the life of a business analyst, and we're going to get practical. And I'm going to be taking some examples from the audience, like what have you done in the past, right? And then I will help you begin to see how that relates practically. This is a live session. You can see I'm touching myself, or probably that does not show it, but I can actually see, I can actually see people, chatting live on the chat, like you can see. Okay, somebody just wrote baby check, so that is to tell you that this is live. All right, so I'll be doing it live. I'll be answering the questions live with people on the audience, and I'll be helping you take that experience. So whether you were a cleaner, or whether you were a customer service rep, or whatever it is that you were, just let me know. And then we're going to be using that to help you see how you can transition. And then I'm going to be talking about the gaps that you typically would will encounter, or you would need to feel when it comes to you transitioning, all right, to business analysis. All right, perfect. Okay, let's go on. So let's talk about the competencies of a business analyst. What are the competencies of a business analyst? Now, when I say competencies, I mean those things that, if you do have them, if you have these attributes, these attributions, you are able to perform your job function as a BA more effectively. All right. So we're going to look at a couple of those competencies. The first competency I'll be looking at tonight is analytical thinking and problem solving. Now, you can already tell that as a BA, from the definition that we had, okay, from the BA definition that we had, one of the things that you saw there is the fact that you have to, understand the need. Okay, and need is either a problem to be solved or an opportunity to be cultivated. All right, an opportunity to be cultivated. Give me a minute, let me take out this distraction. All right, so it's either a problem to be solved or an opportunity to be cultivated. It therefore means that if you're a BA, then there is something that has to do with problem solving. And I always tell people this simple truth, that if you're an adult and you have never solved a problem in your life, then you're not qualified to be called an adult. Yes, it's the truth. You should be a baby. I see somebody just put in their baby check. You should be a baby, right? You should be called a baby. If you're an adult, you have solved one problem or the other in your life, right? And the same techniques you use in breaking and solving problems will be applicable here. And that is why you see business analysis is one of those tech careers that is easily translatable. You can easily transition using the skill set that you already have, because most of those skill sets you already use them on your job anyway. It's just that your job does not probably pay you that much, right? And does not offer the right working conditions that you probably you're seeking. All right, so analytical thinking, you being able to take complex problems and then begin to identify patterns, identify how, problems are recurrent, who is having those problems, how often do those problems occur, why are they occurring? And, for you to be analytical, it comes with questioning. It comes with asking the right questions, right? So we're going to be doing all of that within the context of our 10-week program. The next thing is communication skills. Communication skills is a huge and a big deal. Now, one of the things you realize when you start looking at job description is that communication skill is one of the skills that is common. You will see that in every job function of a BA. Why? Because every single thing you do in business analysis is about communication. And let me help you understand communication. Communication starts with listening, just in case you don't know. As I'm talking now, there are several things I'm saying that's not on my slide, but you're listening. Communication starts with listening. In fact, when I feel, most of the time I feel references for the student, when they get a job. In fact, I do that every week. I feel references for the student. Now, there's a particular question they ask me all the time, which is, how can you rate their communication skills? Now, the answer I give them is top notch. They cannot but give you the job. Because the first thing I tell them is, when it comes to this particular person, one of the key things that I've come to realize with them is the fact that they're a good listener. And you know that communication stems from good listening. Anybody who can listen then knows how to, express certain things, knows how to talk, right? All right. So uh communication skill starts with communication starts with listening, and then it then further begins to go into things like verbal communication, written communication, and all of that stuff. All right. So communication starts with listening. You have to be a good listener, not listening because you want to give a response, but listening because you want to understand, because you want to understand the context. You want to understand, uh, the reasoning of the other person, right? Not because you just want to give an answer. So communication is a big deal. You will communicate with your slides. You will communicate in meetings, all right? You will write things down. You will do some, you do what is called written communication, documentation. You document requirements. Maybe towards the end of the class, I'm going to show you 2 documents, and I'll ask you to look at the difference between the documents. They are both saying the same thing, but the way it is written, the way you write, the way you structure your points is also important. So all those things you would learn. There's also stakeholder management. You need to be able to identify stakeholders you're working with. You need to be able to analyze them and put them into where they belong, their class, and then be able to communicate with them according to their interest and the power that they wield in that particular project. Should be able to balance relationships. You should be able to create rapport. For example, somebody you're working with, comes into the, give me a minute, guys. Racing, please, can you not post comments that have no relationship with what we are saying? Please. If you're posting in the comment, be careful to post that which is, related to what we are saying here. Okay. All right. So, okay. So stakeholder management, like I said, has to do a lot with building relationships, understanding the need of the stakeholder, being able to balance conflicts, because sometimes you're speaking to different stakeholders that have different needs, right? They have different things. Sometimes these needs are particularly, give me a minute. So these needs are particularly conflicting. You will need to learn how to manage these conflicting needs. All right. These are the things we're going to be looking at as part of our work. Then some of the competencies will include requirement gathering and analysis. This is what we call elicitation, requirement elicitation, the ability to collect, understand, and document business needs. Whether it is through a survey, whether it's through a workshop, one of the things you would definitely be involved in is being able to listen to the person you're trying to solve the problem for. It's simple. Now, if I came to you and I said I have a problem, you want to understand what my problem is. And that is the process of elicitation. You're trying to understand certain things. And sometimes there are some people that really, as they are listening, they want to also write things down. Okay, so part of the things you're going to be doing is requirements gathering and analysis. And I talked about that in the last class. You'll also be documenting those requirements. There's also the need to be able to do business process modeling. What do I mean by that? So, for example, there are certain processes within organizations, all right? You need to be able to diagram those processes. You should be able to diagram those processes. These are some of the things we're going to be teaching you to be able to do. One of the other competencies is critical thinking. Okay, I'm just going to go through this quickly because I want to get to the very practical part, but I need to, take you through all of these other things. Okay. One of the other things is critical thinking, evaluating information objectively, making sure you're looking at that information for what it is, right? You're looking at that information for what it is, and you're not using a biased perspective to kind of, create a conclusion. All right. You're making sure you are listening to everybody, you're collecting the information from them, and then you're analyzing it accordingly. All right. Technical understanding. This one is very key. A basic understanding of how IT works, software development processes. Next week, we are going to be talking about software development lifecycle. You need to understand basic IT, basic technology. Now, listen, I know you don't have to be technical for you to become a BA. You don't have to be technical, but you need to understand something about technology. And if you have checked if you've checked our curriculum, let me quickly go in there so I can show you something there. So if you've checked our curriculum, that is the reason why your last module will be technology and design for business analysts. Why? Not because we need you to be technical, but because you also need to be able to understand the language of technical. You need to be able to understand the language of technical. You need to be able to understand what the cloud is, what API is, what server side is, what front end is, what back end is, so that when you have this discussion with people in the room, you are able to understand what they are saying, especially when you are building software products. You may not be technical. You do not need to be technical. I repeat, you do not need to be technical, but you need to have an idea of what these technology concepts are. And we're going to be teaching you some of those technology concepts. And in fact, on the practical, you're going to also be encountering some of these discussions with the developers and with the designers. Okay? All right, let's move away from there. Let's move away from there. So the next one is negotiation and persuasion. Listen, as a BA, you want to exert authority, but you don't have influence. Sorry, you want to exert influence, but you don't have that authority, right? You want to influence somebody to take a decision, but you don't have any authority over the decision they'll be making. So what do? You want to be able to persuade them to take a certain line of action. It's a skill. You will need to learn the skill of persuasion, and the ability to persuade stakeholders will help you to be able to align on requirements, align on priorities, why they should go with this before they go with that, why they should look at this before they look at that. And one of the best ways to be able to persuade is to be able to help them to see what is in it for them, help them to see the benefits, put the benefits in front of them. Don't just tell them, I recommend A. Why are you recommending A? What did you look at? What research did you do? What information is available to you that we are not aware of? That you are so sure that if we pursue A and not B, A will pay us better than B. So you need to learn the art of persuading stakeholders to take a certain line of action. And that goes side by side with negotiation. All right. The last set of competencies will be you being able to pay attention to detail. All right. You should be able to pay attention to detail. You should be able to also display some project management skills. For example, you're able to manage time, manage tasks, manage resources effectively. I know you work with a project manager who already does that, but sometimes you would need to be able to also be able to do that. Okay. And in our module two, we teach you everything around project methodologies and management, right? So you need to understand, what project methodology would be best. Would it be agile? Would it be waterfall? What project methodology is best for us to use? So we will be also looking at that too as part of the course. And as a BA, you need to be adaptable and flexible. You should be open-minded, okay? Open-minded to listen to others, because change can come from any discussion. Yes, the idea for change can come from any discussion. So being open to change and able to adapt to new situations, tools, or processes as business environments evolve. In fact, being on this call alone, it shows that you are being open to change, because there are certain tools that you've never used before that we will be teaching you to use. So you need to be open to learn those new tools. All right. Okay. So these are some of the competencies that you will need to exhibit as a BA. But then I can't say it better than this lady. And I want you to listen to this video. I want you to listen to this video. You are going to hear certain things that this lady says that is very, very true about business analysis. And then she also hints on one or two competencies which you need to have as a BA. Please let me know if you can hear the sound. Can you hear the sound? Can you hear the sound? Please put yes in the chat if you can hear the sound. Okay, you can hear the sound. Okay, let's go.
I'm Gemma. I'm a business analyst and I work for Red Vesper in Wellington. Business analysts solve problems. We help organizations to change up their people and culture or their business processes. People deal with stuff. They work around problems that they shouldn't have to. So the job of a business analyst is to make other people's lives easier. We help to get to the basics of what the business actually needs to work in the most effective way. It's not about having the answers readily available. It's about working with others to get that solution together. Quite a lot of big businesses have BAs. Government has a lot of BAs in it. I work for a consultancy. We often go into clients. You really get to see how different companies work. So every time I go into a new project, it's like the first day of a new job. You've got to just throw yourself in, admit that you don't know everything. And actually, part of that is admitting that the people around you know a lot more. And pulling on those knowledgeable people is a really good way to get involved. Having someone show you through what they do really highlights to them where things could be more user-friendly for them. It's often a really good time to ask, why are you doing it that way? Why? It's that toddler kind of mindset of being so inquisitive. It might be that they've never thought about it. It's just the way that it's always been done. Actually, that is something that we could make more efficient, more effective. To ask what they do and how it works for them often gets you to the point where you can see a lot of where the problems lie. Building relationships is a really important part of my job. Listening to people and really getting engaged in what's going on for them. It just makes it so much easier to have those conversations that are often quite difficult because it's about changing the way someone works and changing someone else's outlook on whether there's a problem. After a while, the awkwardness kind of disappears. So business analysts are often the translators between the customer and the developer of the solution. So that could be talking to customers, and that might be the people doing the job or the end customer of an organization to understand exactly what they need, and then working with the developer of the solution to understand how we can make something work to solve those problems. Most BAs work as contractors, which means that they are self-employed and they go into different clients for periods of time and then they have to find their next job. I work for a consultancy and they're responsible for finding me client projects. We get the opportunity to see so much different stuff as consultants. As a BA within a company, you're often there for a whole project and you get to see it from start to finish. But as a contractor or a consultant BA, you often come in for a small part of it, do the piece of work that needs to get done, and then hand it off to another team without seeing the whole thing through. I love variety. I thrive on it. I love being able to pick something up and make it better and then move on to the next thing. There's loads of different types of business analysts. It's really about finding what you love and letting that take you into the niche that works for you. Some of the skills you need to be a good BA is to be inquisitive and to always be asking questions. Being personable and getting on with everyone is a really kind of useful trait. Changing who you're working with and changing where you're working can often get quite uncomfortable, and you have to be happy to deal with that. You are always working in change and you're changing how other people work. And that's uncomfortable for people. So you have to be happy to manage other people's emotions as well as your own in a variety of situations. To know when enough's enough and when a solution is good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to work to solve the problem you're trying to solve. Most BAs kind of organically become BAs. So it's not so much specifically about a study that you do, more about your interest and your engagement and how inquisitive you are. I have a diploma, which I got back in the UK, and it kind of gave me the toolkit. And then there's loads of sort of specific business analysis qualifications that you can do, but they're more likely to be done on the job than before you start. I didn't know what a BA was when I took the job. And I think it's one of those things that's really hard to explain because it's so varied. The context of solving those problems and being really engaged and inquisitive in whatever you're trying to resolve is the most key thing. But the way you do that could be so different. If you're interested in the world around you and interested in making it better, I think it's a really cool role where you can make your own path. Being a business analyst gives me the opportunity to help other people to have an easier life. And I can't see anything that's more important than that.
All right. So we'll be having a discussion on this. Before we get practical, I will ask for those of you who heard one or two things from the video. How many of you heard some things from the video you would like to share? What stood out for you? What stood out for you from what you heard and you want to share with us? Please put your hand up and I'm going to call you and I'll allow you to say something. Okay, Kay, go ahead, please. What stood out for you in the video? Go ahead, Kay. I've updated.
Thank you. The fact that she said that you don't really have to, it's not that you know everything. You are actually asking people who know to know. You're actually asking the people who had already known to help them to get to where they to do their jobs better, to make things better for them. So it's not that you have the knowledge prior to the time when you are working. It's something you get from people around you who knows it, and you're going to get that through your good rapport with them, your ability to relate with them, and to be inquisitive. He said, and she also said that you are constantly asking questions. You are asking questions in order to know. So you are like somebody is probing and probing and probing until you get the answer to the problems that you need to solve. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. So you have to be inquisitive. You don't have to come in saying, I know it. Thank you for that particular answer, Kay. Because I remember there was a project that I did with a very huge, it's a big, in fact, most of you would have, used their product before. It's a big pharmaceutical company. And when I got on this project, I didn't know anything about, I didn't know too much about diabetes. I didn't know too much about diabetes. I didn't know too much about, because we were building an app for, diabetes and some other things like that. It was on the project when I started asking questions that I began to understand certain things and started knowing some things. And based on those things that I gathered, we were able to start, with my team, recommend features that could go into that app, right? So don't think that you need to know everything before you become a BA. It's not true. In fact, a BA needs to come in with a toddler mindset. Did you hear what she said? You need to come into the project with a toddler mindset, meaning that you're coming to learn, to hear people tell you their problems, and then you can now take that and work from there. All right, Dan, you're next. I've unmuted you. Go ahead. Dan, go ahead. I've unmuted you.
Okay, Mike, thank you so much. I think for me, one of the things I heard from her is that she said that she did not know what BA was when she made up her mind to join. But however, she was willing to learn from those who know, and she made mention of saying that for you to be a BA, you must have the mind of making life easier for the client, and that starts by being inquisitive and having a curious mind, and to change and to just make things improve from what it is to like a better thing. That's like adding value in an enterprise. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, too. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. All right. Let's move on to Noella. Noella, tell us what you heard. What did you hear?
Yeah, so what I heard was the fact that the BA is the middle person, the middleman between the client or the end user and the developers or development team. And I find that interesting because usually it's the product owner that maximizes the value in general. That's his role. And is the quote unquote middle person between what the client and the development team. So as a problem solver, that kind of stood out to me in that BA role.
Okay, thank you so much. That you have to be the problem solver. I'll also go into the chat right now. AO says BAs are problem solvers. Emmanuel said building strong relationship. So one of the things you heard her say, in fact, she said something about certification. How many of you heard that? She said something about certification. Did you hear that? What she said about certification? How many of you heard what she said about certification? You heard what she said about certification? She said that certifications are more likely to be what? To be gotten after the job than before the job or on the job, right? That's what she said. In fact, she said she knew nothing about business analysis before she even became a BA. So that goes to show that business analysis is more of problem solving. And tell me, how do you know about a problem before you solve it? Before it becomes a problem, how do you know about it? Do you understand? It is while you are solving the problem, you begin to discover about the problem. Now, that is not to say you don't have the skill. But you see, the projects you'll be working on, it's not something that you were told about. It could be anything. So as a BA, you come with the skill. You come with the skills. That's what you come with to the table. You come with your listening skills. You come with your problem-solving heart. You come with your ability to create rapport, to establish a connection with the stakeholder, to be able to communicate with the stakeholder, to be able to listen to what the stakeholder has said, and then you are willing to now take that and break it down and try and understand it. That is the analytical mindset we talked about. Like Busayo said in the comment, he said, you must be an amebo. I mentioned something like that in the last class, and willing to help others. There's somebody who is willing to help others. Okay, so there were quite a lot of things that she said. Her day-to-day is probably filled with meetings, right? As a BA, you typically be in one meeting, the next meeting, you're listening to reviews, you're listening to and asking questions, you're gathering information, you are giving information, you're going back and you are documenting the information. That's typically what your day is like. You're more of a mental worker, not a physical worker. You're more of a mental worker. So everything you need to be able to become a great BA is what we're going to be teaching. The skills, the practical skills that you need to be able to become a great BA is what we're going to be teaching in this 10 weeks, okay? In this 10 weeks of class. Now, one of the things that I promised that I was going to do is to get a bit more practical today, especially with having to show you how you can transition to business analysis. And that is what I'm about to do now. So please, let's pay attention. I'm about to, engage you right now. This is the core of today's class. Okay, this is the major thing of today's class. Now, remember our last class, okay? If you remember in the last class, I talked about, business analysis is about creating change. Please follow me. because I'm going to start asking questions. So I said business analysis is about creating change, right? We said that this change is either you are creating something new, okay, or you modify something that was already there. Okay? All right. And if you're creating something new, you're modifying something that was already there, all that will start with a need. A change is inspired by a need. A change is inspired by a need. Now, this need is either a problem that you're trying to solve or an opportunity you're trying to cultivate. I then mentioned that when it comes to business analysis, especially when you want to get a business analysis job, what the employer is looking for is, number one, have you solved a problem? Or have you been able to cultivate an opportunity? Tell us about this. That's number one that the employer is looking for. A problem or an opportunity that you have been able to cultivate. Now, the second thing that they're looking for is, what is the solution that you were tasked with? What was the solution that you guys were looking to provide? What was the solution you were looking to provide to that problem? That's the second thing we are looking for. And then you need to now talk about these things within the context of business analysis. So you're going to talk about your actions, meaning what you did as a business analyst. Now, you see this part, this is where your training is important, because it will help you to now begin to use the business analysis language. It will help you to now understand certain things that and techniques that we use in business analysis, and you can use that to explain the things you did on that project, giving examples. And that is why, one of the things that we're going to help you with is using your past experience. That is, apart from the new experience you're going to get on a project, you should be able to use your past experience. Now, I have done a webinar on this before. Why I told you that experience is a key thing. Most of you have never been a BA before. But listen, if you go looking for an entry-level job, even an entry-level job is looking for 3 years of experience. Even an entry-level job is looking for 3 years of experience. So how do you show that experience? Is to use the one you already have. Because, you see, time is something you cannot rewind. Time is something you cannot expand. The amount of time you have is the time you have. So imagine you're trying to transition now, and tomorrow they're asking you for 3 years of experience, and this is only 6 months. How do you get 3 years of experience? How? It's impossible, right? So it leaves us with a couple of choices. So number one is, either you spend 3 literal years getting that experience. Okay? So it's either you spend 3 literal years getting that experience. So maybe you want to stay on our platform, you're welcome, and do projects for 3 years. You're welcome. I mean, I won't chase you away. You've paid your money. If you want to do that, if you really want to stay for 3 years, how many of you want to stay for 3 years? To build 3 years of experience because you didn't have a BA experience. You want to stay 3 years before you get a job. How many of you are here? You want to spend 3 years? You want to stay 3 years? Can I see anybody? Okay. How many of you don't want to stay 3 years? How many of you? If you don't want to spend 3 years? Okay. Maybe put yes in the chat so that I know you're saying yes to that. You don't want to spend 3 years. So you don't want to spend 3 years, right? Because they're asking for at least 3 years of experience. So the way to get that 3 years of experience is to literally, 2025. So you start from now, 2025, 2026, and 2027. So in 2027, you'll be ready. But listen, you can't wait for that. The second thing to do is to use an experience you already have. Why? Why can you use it? Why can you use an experience you already have? It's simple. Because business analysis is about the job function, not the job title. The job function can give you claims to the title, which you can defend. And I showed you that in the last class. I showed you that a BA from the IIBA Bible Guide is anybody, okay, who has done any business analysis job function, irrespective of their title. Are you getting me? Irrespective of their title. So let's continue here. So you need a problem. That is to show experience. You need a problem that you have solved before. A solution that you preferred or that you and your team were able to work out for that problem. What you did, what did you, not the team, what was your contribution in that team? And for you to talk about your contribution, you need to talk about it from the perspective of a BA and use the BA lingua franca, use the BA, what do they call it now? Keywords. And this is where I said your training is important. Your project experience, okay, is important. Because this project experience will now help you to be able to take those things and begin to relate properly. And then the last thing you want to tell them is the outcome or where you are with that project. And I'm going to explain that. So you want to tell them these four things, don't forget. Problem, opportunity that you were involved in, the solution that you guys created, the actions that you took from the perspective and the lens of a BA, and then the outcome of where you are with that project. So if that project has already been launched or it has been implemented, then you can talk about the outcome. But if that project is still something you're working on, then you can tell them about where you are on the project. Are you testing the project? Have you released to a small group of people? Are you going through documentation right now? What exactly are you doing on that project right now? So that's what I mean by outcome of where you are within the project. So again, there are several things I can say here, but today is not today is not that class. Okay, I will have another session. Maybe just look out for that. I will have another session on how everything around the work experience, past experience, the psychology behind past experience. How do you measure work experience? All those things. I will have another workshop for that. All right. Today I'm just going to go straight into taking people's experiences and trying to model it and helping them see how they can use it towards towards a BA experience. Okay. Now I need volunteers. Anybody. I need anybody. So that it doesn't look as if I planned this, right? Okay. I don't want to make it look as if I planned it. I didn't plan anything. I need anybody from the audience. Just raise your hand and I'll call you. Okay, Kate, go ahead. I'm going to unmute you. Please unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Kate. So we're going to take Kate as our first example. This is practical. I'm saying I'm going to do it practically. Don't worry, for the rest of you who raised up your hand, don't worry. once we finish with K, I'll take another example. I'll take as many examples just to prove to you, just to show you that I'm not kidding, I'm not lying. We've done this for several people, 150 people in the past 3 years, I'm counting. Okay? I want to prove to you on this call live, and that's why I'm doing this. All right, so please pay attention. All right, Kay. So what are the industries you've worked in?
Look, I worked at the bank.
You've worked in the bank. Okay. So this is for those of you who've worked in the bank, you have somebody who's banking experience. How long have you had this banking experience?
About 20 years.
20 years. Wow, that's a lot. Okay. That's a lot. Okay. So did you work in different arms of
departments? Yes. I started from operations. That is, and I was through so many departments.
Okay.
I was a teller.
I
was a customer service officer. I was the head customer service.
Okay.
I was in what we call the accounts and clearing, which has to do with clearing of checks.
And clearing.
I was at the computer room. I was also at a Western Union operator at the time.
Okay, and then Western Union. This has to do with money transfers, yeah?
Yes, money transfer, payment, receiving and transfer then. Now, before I later moved to marketing.
And then there's marketing.
So I was a relationship manager for some time. That's what we
call
it.
Don't worry. I think we've got enough. We've got enough. Okay. We've got enough here, right? Okay. We've got enough here. All right. So remember that business analysis, when you are creating a change, okay, it's either you're creating something new or you're modifying something that already exists in an enterprise. And in an enterprise, we refer to that as, when you say enterprise, we're talking about an organization. And this organization would have products, okay, processes, okay, they'll have people, policies, technology, etc. Technology could be, it could be anything. Now, if you look into operations at the time when you were there, I know operations has a lot to do with processes, right? It has a lot to do with people.
Yes.
Maybe policies involved, maybe there are some technologies you use. Now, were there any processes that you feel like was not, improved over time? Like that process wasn't really efficient the way it needed to be efficient, but over time, you guys made it efficient. Can you think anything like that? Okay.
Yes, there was so much more stuff.
Okay, so let's start. Yeah. So tell me the problem. So tell me the problem with that process.
Okay. Initially, let me give you one. Like when we used to open an account before.
Okay.
At the time, what we just needed was customer's name and then probably address. So after that, maybe next of kin, and that's all. And we opened the account. Not much documentation, nothing like maybe identity card, evidence of showing where you live, what job do you do. There was nothing like that. So at the time, there was the need, when the anti-money laundering came, the process was modified because, the problem with the with money laundering, which has to do with to curb the money laundering activities. So there was what we called Know Your Customer, KYC documentation. So the process was upgraded to meet with the demands. It was a global issue. So the KYC was introduced. So which means before you open an account for somebody, you must know whom the customer is. And part of the things you need to do is that when somebody tells you his name is Emmanuel, John, there should be a document showing you that that guy is actually bearing that name. And that is where the issue of having maybe national ID, driver's license, or driver's license, national ID, or international passport. And so those were the documents we were taking then. Then to know customers, when a customer said he's working somewhere, you need a letter from that place where he's working, showing that it's actually staff of that particular place.
So that we don't take too much time. So basically, the account opening process needed to change because certain things within the regulation compliance, okay?
Yes.
So there was a body that regulated the banks, okay, in your home country, and they introduced a new policy that had to do with money laundering.
Yes.
So as a result of that, all of the banks needed to comply to new policy. So now you're dealing with policies, right?
Policy, yes.
So I just want to help you understand where, if you're going to talk about this to people, you need to be clear. I understand you're telling me like this, but if you're in an interview, you need to be able to, use the words, use the things that you need to. All right. You say, okay, there was a in the bank where I functioned as a business analyst. Why I was brought into this, why I was brought into the project was because the governing body for the banks in that country, in the country that I worked for, actually changed the policies for compliance due to money laundering, and that needed to change the way we approached opening, bank accounts for the customers. Initially, the process was, just collect a few, simple documents, and we were able to open the account. But now we needed to create and streamline an easy process, irrespective of the fact that we needed more documentation. We needed to streamline the process to make it easy for the customer to be able to open an account. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, yes.
So now you have the problem, okay, which is the fact that a new, so
policy,
I'm just gonna put this in bullet points. So there was a new compliance policy,
legal requirement,
okay, due to new new policy, new compliance policy was was enacted by the governing body for the banks, right?
Yes.
Okay. That affected the way we, the banks, not just you, the way the banks would typically, open accounts, for customers. Okay. Now, we needed more documentation.
Yes.
Okay. And questioning to know the customer before account creation. The bank brought me in as the business analyst to help create a new account creation process and streamline this the process, making it very user friendly. Okay. And very user friendly with quick turnaround time. Okay. So here I have merged both problem and solution here, right? Okay. I've merged both problem and solution here. Now you're going to tell them what you did. Okay. You're going to tell them what you did. Okay. Because here there was the new policy, it's not your fault. You are just working in the bank, and the governing body, says that there's a new policy that has been enacted. All right, you guys have to change the way you're doing things. But you guys have then discovered that with this new policy, you guys will be collecting a lot of documentation. You'll be asking a lot of questions just in the bid to know the customer. It could be frustrating for the customer. In fact, you can even go one step further. In fact, let's do it this way. You can go one step further and say that they already had a new process that they even put in place, but customers were complaining. Can you see that? So you can already even say that, okay, while this thing came up, a process was put together, but when they started using the process for like 6 months, you guys got a lot of complaint. Where you guys used to turn around, 100, accounts, used to open 100 accounts in a day, you're now opening 27 accounts because of this particular thing. So there was need for a new, in fact, that would even give it will give more flesh to the problem. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes,
So
I understand.
there was need for them to streamline this process to make it more efficient. Whether by the use of technology. Also, you have to mention all the problems like people coming to the bank and trying to, spending time in the bank, standing on queues for 4 hours. We needed to kill all of that. And this was why you were brought in to be able to tackle that problem. So what did you do as a BA? What did you do as a BA? So now,
as a BA,
you will now start this way you will now start telling them about, the activities that a BA will do. First, you need to do a needs assessment. Okay, understand how the process is currently being done. Okay, so the first is the needs assessment. You understood, you asked questions, and also observed how the account creation process was currently being done. Okay, so that is the Aziz.
Yes.
That's the Aziz process.
Yes.
So you were asking questions, also and you observed how the account creation process was. So don't worry. For those of you, I will show you how you can use AI because we are doing this manually now. I will show you how you can use AI to get this in less than 1 minute. Less than 1 minute. What we're doing now. Okay, to get it in less than 1 minute. All right. So needs assessment. You ask questions and also observed how the account creation process was currently being done. Okay. Then you identified the problems with the current process.
Yeah.
Now, when you are talking in an interview, you don't talk like this. You don't just say you identified the problems in the process and you stop there. That is where people get it wrong. So what do you do? Anybody knows what we're going to do here? What do we do after we say you identify the problems with the current process? What do you do to stand out?
It's approved.
No, talk about the problems. Mention like 3 of those problems. Give them examples to show them that you did it. Because anybody can come and say anything. The reason why I would believe you did a thing is to give me the examples within the context of that thing. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now you need to say, you said you identified problems with the current process. Oh yeah, tell me what were the problems with the current process? So I discovered that where they used to do between 75 to 100 account opening in maybe you can use a week because maybe a day, maybe 2, maybe you can use maybe between 75 to 100 account opening in a week per branch. Because again, you need to help them see the magnanimity of the project you did. If you say, you just did it in your local branch, no, you were solving it for the global branches, for the global So it was a global stuff you're working on. That shows you the magnanimity of that project. So you need to make sure that you are the one that help them to see, you should be the one to help them see, you make them see you the way you want to be seen. So you don't talk about your project lightly. You elevate it. So account opening per week, in a week. So I discovered that I discovered that where they used to do between 75 to 100 account opening in a week per branch, that had reduced to an average of 25 per week. Okay?
Yeah.
Customers were queuing, had to queue in the bank premises. In fact, when people come and see the queue, they are discouraged and they go back home.
Go back home.
You see, you are making your point hit. You're trying to tell them, say, I am solving a worthy problem. Don't think this thing I'm telling you is not a worthy problem. I was actually solving something that was worthy. Customers were queuing in the bank premises, and you can tell them the consequences of that, even people had to, employees, okay, were beginning to resign because of the pressure to deliver with an inefficient, to deliver targets, okay, like the targets that they have for opening there, to deliver so employees were beginning to resign because of the pressure of to deliver targets with an inefficient process. I found this out when I sent out a nationwide employee survey as part of my work. Do you see how you're positioning the work?
Yeah.
Do you see how you're doing that?
Yes.
Okay. So you're already beginning to tell them the things you do. You're already saying survey. You're already saying you did a need assessment. You did an ASIS. You listen to, you're already putting all those things that you typically do as a BA. So the work that you do, you have to put it from the perspective of a BA. And the same way we are looking at, this is just one. We are looking at just one of the things you've done here.
Yeah.
Listen, do you know the one that is very interesting if I go into it? Is this thing called payments and money transfer. This one would be too sweet. If we did a project on this one, this would be, even till tomorrow, there's this company in the US, Sendwave. They're still trying, they're still, they're just currently working on peer-to-peer. It exists for peer-to-peer in the US. It's a project they are just working on now. So imagine you were dealing with money transfer, you were integrating with Western Union. That is huge. That's a big project. You don't know what I'm saying until this one here is a huge one. Not to even come to talk of, so here we are only talking about, is it operations? I think we're in operations right now, right?
Yeah.
Is it operations? Yeah.
Customer service, yeah.
Customer service, right? Customer service and operations. Yeah, we're just here.
Yeah.
There's even some more things that I would like that we can do with this one. But let's just go one after the other. So I'll take one from you. I would like to hear from somebody else who is not banking, from somebody else completely not banking, maybe if it's in construction or something else. I'd like to hear from somebody, just to put all of that experience together, okay, and help you see, how this is very, very possible. Okay, so you've told them that you identified the problems with the current process. And like I said, you don't stop there. You're going to talk about the different problems that you actually encountered. I discovered this, I saw this, I did this, and these were the things you were looking to solve. All right, let's move on. So you did a needs assessment, you understand the as-is process, you identified the problems with the current process, and did a gap analysis. You see, this is all BA stuff. Gap analysis to understand the gaps that needed to be closed and the actions we needed to take to close these gaps. These actions helped me. This was my first step. This was my first step to defining actionable requirements for project. So you can see how you are building your case. You've already told them the problem that you solved, the problem that was existent, the solution, why they brought you on board, and what you did, or what you're doing, or what you did for the project. So you told them need assessment, you identified the problem, you did a gap analysis. That was kind of like first step to you, defining your actionable requirements for that project. Okay. Okay, based on the information. So who did you speak with? Because we need to talk about the stakeholders we interacted with. Don't talk about a project, especially in business analysis, without nailing all these aspects that we talked about. Remember the aspects we talked about. If I take you back here, remember the aspects that we talked about. So change, okay, the change, the organization, in this case, it's process, okay, process, policy, and a few things. All right, the problem, the solution, the benefit, the stakeholder. Now, let's talk on the stakeholder. Who are the people, the different people that were connected in one way or the other? So we need to be able to talk about these ones too. Okay, we need to be able to say one or two things about these ones too. So let's look at that. So based on this, on the information I gathered from who? Who would you have gathered information from? In this case, anybody? It doesn't have to be K. Anybody can answer for me. Who do you think, you can put it in the chat. Who do you think you would have gathered this information from? To help him with the solution he will be providing. Who are the people he should be looking to collect information from? Anybody? Remember that stakeholder is anybody that is connected with the change, connected with the need, connected with the solution, right? Clients. Okay, so these clients are who? In the context of what we're talking about, customer. Thank you. Customer. So based on the information I gathered from customers, who else would they have collected information from? Yes, based on the information you collected from customers, who else? Who else would you have collected information from? Staff, because they're involved. Yeah, I know, stakeholders, right? Okay, all right, stakeholders. Regulators from the policy, or policy from the regulators. Okay. All right, because you are going to also build this new process you build this new process to make sure that it agrees to the new compliance stuff, right? Okay, so based on the information you gathered from customers, from staff, policy regulators, and from senior management team. Yes, I would love to put that. The reason why I put senior management team is because if your job description is saying that you should have experience speaking to director level stakeholders, if ever you see that in your job description, make sure in your description of the work that you did, make sure to highlight the fact that you have interacted with people at that level. These little things count. So for that reason, I will put senior management. Because again, if they ask you why, of course, they will be there to give you feedback, and they'll be there for also feedback, because as you're building, you're confirming things from them. You see, you're confirming things from senior management to be sure that they are okay with what you're doing. Does that make sense? All right. So based on the information I gathered, from the customers, based on the information that I gathered or elicited, you can use the word elicited, that are elicited from staff, from the policy, I was able to create a set of requirements to streamline the new process. So for the new process, we have to build product. So now you've introduced product, okay? We had to build a platform that helped us with the exchange. A platform that helped us to collect customers' information, verify. So tell me the things you guys will now do. Oh yeah, okay, Baba, this is where you tell me what to do. So tell me what that new process is, okay? Because that's what the system is going to handle now. So what is that new process? Just give me in words like you're doing a funnel. They do the first thing, which is maybe collection of the data, and then the second thing is like verification, and what's the next thing, and what's the next thing. Just tell me what that process is like.
Okay, so just like you have said, we collect the documents, the ID card, either international passport or national ID or driver's license, and then we are connected to a central platform through which we can verify. Initially, we were sending for verification. When you collect in the branch.
Hold that there. Hold that there. There's a way to say it. Hold on. Just hold that. So for the new process, we had to build a platform that helped us to collect customers' information and relevant documents like, national ID card, driver's license. Okay.
International passport.
Yeah, international passport. And verify their identity.
Yeah.
Hold on, there's something I want to bring here. For this, we needed to integrate, that's another keyword, to integrate with an external verification platform provided. Okay, we needed to integrate with an external via APIs. APIs is application program interface. Now, again, you need to make this. If you don't make it look big, they will think it's not big.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So
yes.
You can see that simple thing you have just said, like, you can see how you're now taking the things you've learned, because you're going to learn about API. What does API do? It takes information between two platforms and it transfers this information. You're going to learn about that. You will know what it does, right? So using that word and that language will not be big to you. You know exactly what that is. So for this, we needed to integrate with an external verification platform via APIs, which is central to all the banks within the country. Okay. So after verification, what happens? I just wanted to give some highlight into that.
When it brings the result comes back, and then we after we get the verification, then it will tell us maybe the document is authentic or not.
Okay.
And if it's authentic, then the account opening will progress.
After authentication, so that account opening, what happens there? When you say it progress, what do you mean by progress? What is the things, things that happen there? So
we were able to open the account within record time, faster than
yes, I know,
before.
I know. So this account opening. So because the information
it approves that it approves the account opening process.
Do you have to send it to a department for approval? Is there that department, or is
no? There's no approval again.
So this comes back here to you, and you take it through that approval, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So after authentication is successful.
Yes.
Okay. We built the system to automatically approve okay, the customer for the account they have indicated, or they have indicated in the form. What else happens? That's
after
it.
This,
then we then send an email, right?
Yes.
Then okay. Now you also need to think about automation. So once that is approved, an email is automatically sent to the customer, you know, informing them of their status, okay, of their application status. Now, don't forget, if you want to embellish this, we can do a lot here now. So now that now this is shell. I have the shell. I can come back and now begin to look for where I can do some more embellishments. For example, you see that place where we say, you know, it's going to email them for application status. We can talk about when we built the platform, when you're talking about requirements about the platform, you build the platform. One of the requirements that you got was, you know, the different emails we're going to send and the different statuses, like when the application has gone for verification, we send them an email just to keep them up to date that, you know, that this typically, the turnaround time is typically around 24 hours. So, so this is what you will be able to achieve. Even customers did not need to leave the comfort of their house. That's number one. So after you've said all these things, now you will now talk about outcome. And you know how many outcomes that you can see that within when this was implemented, we discovered that where we used to do 100 accounts in the past, with this, number one, people didn't have to queue in the banks, except their verification came back unauthenticated. We will give them a call and ask them to come to the bank. So do you see where they now have to come to the bank?
Come to the bank, yeah.
And here is where we now send them an email asking them to come to the bank. So here, number one, those problems you talked about, this one, you give them the outcome. That when we now implemented the system, where we used to do, 100, that reduced to 25, now we could do a record of at least 250 account opening without the employees being under pressure.
Yeah.
In fact, we could not use the employees for some other where we needed, like in customer service, where we needed hands. We could now take some of our people in operations to help with that. You see, you were able to solve a problem and even make it better. Customers were no longer queuing. Employees had more time on their hands. There was no pressure. You could now begin to put metrics to that. Tell me how this
turnaround got improved.
How
Bank
that
rating got improved.
Yeah.
Customers.
So you got more. So tell me how this is not a viable project. Anybody, tell me how this is not a viable project. Tell me how this is not business analysis. How? Is this not business analysis? Hello?
It is.
Is this not business analysis, sir? People on the call, do you disagree? This is not business analysis. You can't say this in an interview. Can you or can you not? Yes or no? I want to see in the chat. Those of you on the call, can you or can you not say this? Especially when you put this properly together, can you or can you not say this in an interview? Yes, right? Put it to everyone. Say it to everyone. Yes, right? Yes, you can. Absolutely, 100%. Listen, the only problem is that you go in there and you say generic stuff. Generic stuff will not get you a job. Generic things will not get you a job. You have to be specific. Like some of the things we can even now. I've not even told you how you're going to package this in your resume. This we are just talking about the project. How you package this in a resume is totally different. So you take this and you package this in a resume. Of course, if you are working with me, I will definitely not give you 20 years of experience in the bank. 4 is fine. Okay, and then we'll do consulting for the rest. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. So that you don't put yourself in one spot. Yeah. If you do too much of finance, it means that people think that that's the only thing you can do, finance. Right? Are you getting my point now? These things, we've done it over and over and over again. I'm giving you gems. Listen, we've done this over and over and over and over again. So thank you, Kay. Let's go to another person. I saw a few hands here. I saw a few hands up. I'll do first come, first serve. Okay, I'll do the first come, first serve. Is that okay? All right, let's go to, I think the first, I've seen Noella, I've seen Busayo, I've seen Dan, but the first person who actually threw their hands up was actually Dan. So Dan, let me unmute you. Noella, we'll probably come to you if we have time. I hope we have the time to, okay. But Noella, you're already in the course, so that's fine. Okay, we have enough time to do this.
All right. Sorry, I raised my hands in error. That's why.
Oh, you raised your hand in error. Okay, let's go to Noella. Then
Thank you.
Noella is all right. So let's take Noella. Let's take Noella. Thank you, Dan. He's such a gentleman. And let's take Noella. All right. Okay, so Noella, where has been, tell us the industries where you worked. It could be, you could have done multiple jobs in the past, so just tell us the multiple industries that you've worked in.
Well, I pretty much had the same role, but different company. So it's a bank.
Okay, so banking too. I was looking for something different. Does somebody have something different, like auction?
Yeah, Scrum Master as a bank in a bank. So.
I want to show people that it can be in any, whether banking, construction, even teacher. Is there anybody who was a teacher? Anybody who was a teacher? Sorry, Noella, I will get to you. But
no worries.
Is there anybody who was a teacher? I want to show you how you, because sometimes when we say these things, right, people think we're bluffing. And sometimes, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. Is for you to see that truly this is real. So now I'm putting the challenge across. All right. But I want to show you practically how this can happen. So is there anybody who is probably a teacher? I don't want to deal with the bank. I want to show you some other like construction, something, customer service rep, anybody like that. You want us to take that experience and I can show you how we can leverage that to actually get an experience. Now, all you need is to be able to understand the concepts of business analysis. Anybody like that? Nobody? Okay, Noella, let's go with you. I'll probably take you as the last person so that we have one or two more things to do, and I'll probably be quick with it so that we can cover a few more things and then we can call it a day. And then I'll be looking forward to next week. All right. So you said yours is in the banking?
Yes.
Okay. So what in banking, or what did you do in banking?
Scrum Master.
Oh, yours is very relatable now. So
yes,
Scrum Master, because
mentioned.
Scrum Master, you worked on projects, right?
Yes.
So yours is very direct now. It's one-to-one. Yours is very easy.
Yeah.
Very easy because you worked in a Scrum team.
Correct.
Yeah, you work with a
Yes.
Scrum team. What are the projects you worked on?
It was a bit similar to the previous one.
A
Okay.
bit similar, right?
I can give you just one project.
Okay.
One of the projects I worked with was aimed at improving the digital platform system, electronic transactions and online investment,
Okay.
in the bank.
For electronic transaction?
Yes. So, making purchases, online transfers within banks or
Okay, so was this
accounts.
in Canada?
Yes.
Okay, so you have a very solid experience. We just need to talk about what happened in that project. So yours is even one-to-one. I'm looking for those.
Yeah.
I'm looking for those who are not. Yours is very easy.
Okay. I'll pass then.
Yeah. So yours is very easy to just translate because again, you're a Scrum Master working in the project. We can easily translate that to a BA experience. That's so very easy from problem to solution. I'm looking for those who, because what I hear when people call me is, I've not been in tech, I've not worked in tech, I don't have experience. I was a business owner for 10 years. Is there anybody like that here? Or you're a caterer? Listen, I want to do this thing for you today. So I don't know why people are not talking. All right. I want to show you that you can actually take your experience. You can actually take what you have and actually, become, So talk. Emmanuel, traffic management. Can you unmute yourself? I can unmute you. Let's look at that. Traffic management. Let's talk. So, yeah. Traffic management. So tell us the places you've worked in the past. How many years of experience do you have and what places have you worked? Let's start with that.
Okay, good day, everyone.
Yeah.
I worked for 6 years under the management of traffic management in Lagos, Apapa.
So you've worked traffic management.
Yes, though I had done banking before then, but
banking, but of course we've looked at banking already. So you know that.
Yes.
So you can see that you already have experience here. So you can claim experience here. That's right. You see? So now you can claim another experience here. And listen, you don't have to use, when I teach you about resume and the rest, you don't have to use the title BA. There are other lovely things you can say that corresponds to what you're looking for. And see, this is where coaching, mentorship is a big deal. And that is what people don't know. Listen, you don't know what you don't know until you know what you don't know. It's simple. It's that simple. You do not know what you don't know until you know what you don't know. It's that simple. All right. So here we want to claim experience here now. Okay, perfect. Want to claim experience here as traffic management. So let's look into traffic management for a bit. Okay. So tell us what you did. Just try and run me through what did you do, in traffic management in these 6 years. What were you involved in? What are the things? Were there processes that you needed to be aware of, that we should be aware of? Is there any product? Is there any policy? Can you just run me through this?
Yes. Okay. A typical place like Apapa is filled with a lot of traffic. I mean, when trucks are meant to go to load from the port, there's so much traffic. I mean, something that hitherto would take maybe a day to handle could take them weeks, maybe 2 weeks before a single truck could go into the terminal to load an import. So now, NPA, which is a regulatory body, the LASMA, I'm using this word, I mean, most of us are Nigerians here, so they will know, some of them will know some of these names.
Yeah, we
LASMA,
have to explain it because we can't
okay.
generalize. So LASMA would be what?
LASMA are the ones that are in charge of Lagos State, brought them in to regulate traffic on the road.
Good. So they are traffic regulators. They probably
Yes, so they are part of stakeholders on the road.
Okay,
yes.
good.
Then NPA is Nigerian Port Authority. They are actually the one really regulating the movement of trucks in and out of the terminal. Then we also have parks and garages. Now, this was what we were expected to do, to ensure that, and also most of all these trucks coming in to load from the terminal face a lot of bottlenecks on the road from area boys, from the police, and from the last mile themselves, collecting money from these truck drivers or truck owners before they access the port. So because of these bottlenecks, there's so much traffic, even bad roads, and then trucks moving at any time of the day. So what we came in to do was to see how we can regulate it so that certain kind of trucks will move at certain times of the day. How do we ensure that we fight part of this corruption where a single truck before going into load into the terminal will spend like 200,000? Because the federal government had to bring up a task force at some point to ensure that was sorted or that was taken care of.
Okay,
And
so
that same
while you're talking, so it's so that's it's we can because I also have to work with time here.
time.
So
Okay.
we can quickly get yours done.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is articulate the problem while you're talking. So
yes, major problem was traffic. So much traffic within Apapa axis. That's the terminal, the port terminal.
Okay. All right. So now, the way you're going to say it, the way you're going to say it is you're going to say it this way. So the way you're going to say it will be a bit different. Okay. So let's say it this way, that, so let's say that you are more on the port axis, right?
Yes.
I was so the port area in the port area in the city I was posted to was experiencing
heavy traffic.
Heavy traffic congestions, and most times this is around the clock and not just peak hours. Okay. Is there anything you want to say there?
Yes, that's one problem. And then another thing that also contributed to part of this traffic congestion were the collections on the road. Illegal collections from the regulators themselves.
Okay, so let's say the impact this led to delays, frustrations for commuters, and negative impact, okay, on local businesses. Okay. One of the root cause which we got in the brief was the prevalence of road collections. Now, let me explain this. So this is where you tell them, let me explain what we mean by road collections, right? Because they may not understand what you mean by road collections, right? One of the root cause which we got in the brief was the prevalence of root collections. And then you can now explain to them what you mean by, what you mean by road collections, you see? Because probably that's a term that was, that you guys use for that project, and they may not understand. So you need to tell them what you mean by, road collections. Okay? Is that okay? All right.
Yes, very okay, sir.
Okay, and one of the root cause which we got in the brief was in which we needed to deal, with. This is going to prevent me from saying, okay, can you continue with some of the things you want to say? Because there are things I want.
Okay, so what we tried to do, or what we did, was to try to put trucks on a different timing on the road. But before doing that, we contracted a company, a software company that developed an app where people will book their trucks online, just like you book an air ticket online. You book it online, then carry a printout.
Hold on. This is the beginning and the end of that project. You just mentioned the whole project now. So what we would have said here, okay, is now, let's now create the project around the app.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. So here, do you know about this app? Do you know what they do with the app? Do you know how?
Yes, I do. Yes.
That's the end. That's the beginning and the end of it. So instead of saying we contracted, we're now the BA on the app.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Very well, sir.
Because you know the app. You know the app in and out.
The app is even on Play Store.
Simple. So now what you're going to do is to say the port area that I was posted to was experiencing heavy traffic, and this is where, with the truck. So we are going to rewrite this one, because the port area, you need to help them see that, because this app is, you're not talking about, you're focusing on the trucks.
Yes.
You understand? So this app, I believe, is more for the trucks, right?
Yes, it's for the trucks.
Yeah, for them to schedule time or something like that.
Yes.
Okay.
And ease traffic.
Okay, perfect. So, so the port area is in the city. I was posted to, it was experiencing heavy traffic congestions. Most times it's round the clock, not just peak areas. And this is due to, this led to delays, frustration of commuters, negative impact on local business, because before people can move from point A to point B, you can even give descriptions. These are the things that make them understand that you were in there. You can tell them that and give them vivid description that within, just trying to navigate a 1 kilometer distance, okay, a 2 kilometer distance could take you up to 3 hours. That is how bad it was. You can paint.
You are even right. You are right.
You can paint it so vivid that they can see how bad that problem was. Because you need to be able to paint the problem you were solving and let them see that that problem was huge before people can navigate in their vehicles. Because I remember the last time I was in Lagos, that was last year, I actually went for an event, and it was a huge event. But and it's not even the port, just navigating from one point to the other. I had to come out of the bus and take a bike that could go through nooks, and just for me to get to, because if I sat down there, I would still have sat down there for like 2-3 hours. I won't get to where I wanted to get to. And then you see all these rocks, you see all these big, how do you even get past them? And then you get to the front and you see that there's nothing there. And you're asking yourself, what exactly is the problem? Okay, so there's no data-driven solution that was in place to address this. So one of the things you can say is that this led to frustrations and commuters and negative impact on local businesses. So you can now talk about one of the huge problems we had was the fact that the heavy influx of trucks, okay, during peak hours, okay, contributed to the grid locks because of the prevalence of road collections, So you can just talk about this, the gridding of road collections. Okay. Okay, no, instead of doing this, let's put this in the solution. Let's put this in, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I said that. So let's do it this way. The port area in the city I was posted to was experiencing heavy traffic congestions, and most times this is even round the clock and not just because it led to delays, frustration of commuters, negative impact on the business. So I was brought in as the BA to help create a solution that could help, So I was brought in as the BA. You're brought in as the BA to create, so you act as if you do not know, to understand the root cause, okay, of the traffic buildup and because there was no data-driven solution in place at the time to address this. So we've, most times you put the problem and the solution here. So now this particular one is interesting because you were meant to come up with the solution. They didn't tell you that build an app right away, right? They just told you this is the problem. We need you to understand the root cause, and then we want you to come up with, a data-driven solution for this. So this is where you will now talk about what you did. Because what you did will now be part of what you did will also be, for you to prefer a solution, okay, based on your research and root cause analysis. Because you're already beginning to use some business analyst terms, okay? Based on my research and root cause analysis, I was able to understand what exactly was happening. So this is where you will now talk about, I want to be fast with this, so I'm going to talk about quickly and tell you where this leads to and tell you how we can use this quickly. So you prefer a data-driven solution based on your research and root cause analysis. Now, one of the things that you realized was the fact that there was this thing called road collections, and you're going to explain that also, all right? And the trucks, because of this road collection, typically it takes, I don't know how you want to explain that. You know how to explain that problem properly. But where I'm actually leading to is that after you looked at the whole thing, one of the ways to, number one, take out the road collection and also ensure that they have a proper tracking, okay, and time, number one, proper tracking of this of the trucks.
Number of trucks on the road.
And to be able to ensure that we have minimal trucks during the peak hours, okay, when most business are operating, all right. One of the things we decided to do was to create an application, okay. This is where that application comes in. So this is where the solution will be embedded in what you did, right? So this is where we were able to, come up with the solution of building an app that could help. So explain that app again for me, because I don't know, just explain it, because you're the one who's the expert here. So what was this app doing?
Okay, what the app will do is, before you move your truck from your personal park, you first of all will book online, make all the payments online, instead of doing instead of any form of interruptions on the road. So when you book online and you print your ticket out, the driver takes that along the road and show any of these regulators or area boys on the road. That's just to buy some time.
So that truck is for going, they want to go either load or unload.
Yes, they're going to load, and even those coming out as well too. It is either ways, both going in and coming out, but this is now for going in.
So I would just say online booking and payment platform.
Yes.
Okay. Platform, okay, for passage, loading and unloading.
Yes.
Unloading of trucks. Okay, so now you will now start talking about this like you built an application. Simple. Every other thing you will do here is very straightforward. Because now when you're talking about what you did, you're not going to be talking about you being a BA within the build of the application. That you collected requirements as to, you know, the online booking platform, the APIs for the payment gateway. You're going to talk about all those things, right? And then tell us the outcome of what happened after this particular thing was implemented. Simple. That's it. That is a project that you can talk about from your experience as a, because there's no way they will ask you things about this particular app that you not know. True of us.
Oh, true.
Because you know it. You know the application. So by the time we start going through some of our projects, you can now go back to this application and say, this is how this application was. I can talk about this. That's all. So here now, you have banking, you have an experience there. Your traffic management, you have an experience there. You can actually claim that 3 years of experience they were looking for. Chicken. Do you get me? Is that good?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's begin to round off here. I'm just going to say a few more things here, and then we'll call it a day. And then for those of you who are, we're going to say a couple things, and then we'll just round off, today's class. The huge thing is going to happen during our, our 10 weeks together. For those of you who have already, registered for the course, that's great. Okay, so let's get into. So I got practical, and then let's talk about, how to transition, which I've said one or two things here already, how to transition. Now, one of the things you need to realize is that there are gaps you need to fill. If you want to transition to business analysis, there are gaps that you need to fill. And these gaps is what I've shown you here. You want to go from where you are, you want to move to a business analysis, there's a gap that you need to fill. And as you're filling that gaps, it's just like adding steps, and then you get there. The first gap you need to fill is the gap of knowledge gap. And I'm going to show you how we're going to help you to fill this gap. So the first gap you need to fill is the gap of knowledge. Now, I know some of you can say, oh, you can always get that knowledge gap online, which is true. You can get it on YouTube. You can get it on whatever platform you want to get it from. That's fine. So you have the knowledge gap, the practical skill gap, the coaching gap, network gap, and then support gap. And I'm going to explain these gaps quickly. So the first gap is the gap of knowledge. You need to understand core concepts. So now I have shown you that you have the experience that we can use, that we can manipulate, except you want to wait 3 years or literal 3 or 5 years. That is up to you. But if you do not want to wait 3 years or 5 years, you have an experience, and I can guarantee that you have an experience we can use. So what then do you then need? You then need to understand the techniques. You then need to understand the concepts. Because by the time you get on this job, you're going to do what a BA really does. Some of them will be documentation. Some of them will be process, flow. Some of them will be, you have to use the tools. You have to speak the language of a BA. So it is within the context of this training, we're able to then help you understand those core concepts, those techniques, how they are applied, the fundamentals of business analysis. How we help you to do this is that we cover, our courses are structured. You do structured courses, we have workshops, we have practice sessions, we have discussion forums. In our classes, you go on breakout sessions, we have discussions. These are the ways you are able to, you're not able to build a solid theoretical foundation. Because trust me, so many people want to do practical, but listen, you can't rush to practical if you don't have the knowledge. What do you want to apply in the practice if you don't have the knowledge? That is why even medical doctors have to go to a physical classroom or read a textbook before they will have to tell them some of, teach them and show them the anatomy or whatever it is of a human person before they go into the main lab and start dissecting. They need to know that, this thing is the esophagus. This one is the kidney. This one is the liver. Because how do you go and tear people up? You don't even know how the liver differentiates from the kidney. You don't even know those things. You don't know, what is the normal blood, how the heart should be pumping. What's the normal heart rate? So how can you tell when you've opened and dissected that heart and it is pumping? How can you tell that it is knowledge? Knowledge empowers the practice. Don't be too much in a hurry to do experience when you do not have the required knowledge. So we start with this knowledge, and that is what our curriculum covers. Knowledge. To give you, even with the latest trend. So this is why I say, you can use AI to do some of the things. Like some of the things that I showed you now, I can use AI to do it in 2 minutes. To transition, to help you in 2 minutes. Some of the things that you're going to learn in class, user stories, acceptance criteria, all those things, we can use AI to, because you also have to, you have to grow with the trend. So that's the first gap. The second gap, I put this picture here because you can watch Chinese movie all you want. You can watch Drunken Master, okay, from now till next tomorrow, and listen to Taekwondo lessons. But until you go into to do, until you practice, I took my son for one of those jiu-jitsu lessons. He discovered that what he was watching was different from, that's when he realized that all the things he's been watching is different from the reality. When one little guy took him and threw him to the floor. Because you have to practice, right? So apart from so the second gap to moving from where you are to then going into a business analysis role will be the ability to then take that knowledge through hands-on experience. And what that helps you to do is this. You see the way Emmanuel has talked about building an app. When you do that practically, you see the way, what's his name now? Kay talked about, making a process better. When you do that practically, you can take that to, you can what they call it extrapolation. You can extrapolate that to any experience in your past and to be vivid. Why? Because you've gone through that. So how we help you to cover this is we help you to work on company-sponsored or personal projects, you complete in-house internships, participate and contribute to project review sessions because we have those things every week. You have your practical experience is key. So we'll help you create a portfolio that showcases your business analysis experience. So apart from the ones that you're going to gain from your previous experience, you're also going to be taking some from the work you'll be doing on the platform itself. The third gap is the coaching gap. Now, you can have all of these things. You see the way we are talking about it. But how do you market yourself? Difficulty in presenting your skills, and now you have the knowledge, you have the skill. How do you now present yourself? So difficulty in presenting your skills and experience effectively in interviews and on your resume, especially if your previous experience is in a different field. You can imagine coming from a different field, feeling like you cannot use that experience. But I'm just showing you right now that that's not true. If it is, it may be true for some other kind of jobs, right? But you see, business analysis, I know it like the back of my palm. And that's why I was challenging anybody on the call, whether you're a teacher or whatever. Listen, that experience is valid and can be used. It was an open challenge. How do we cover this? Number one, you need a resume that sells that skill. And I think I've shown you some resumes on this call that you would never believe what they were doing in the past. You never believe that guy was a business development officer or, in a petrol station. You can never believe he was. But he was saying the things that he did. It was the way he packaged it in his resume. That is what will make them call. This is called marketing. It's marketing. Listen, you market yourself until you get a job. Simple. Until you sign that offer, it's marketing. You will market yourself until you sign that offer, that 6-figure salary. Until you sign it, everything you do is marketing. And as part of marketing is packaging. So how we cover this is first with your resume coaching, because you have to tailor your resume, highlight your transferable skills, highlight those things from your previous role that are relevant to tech. And then your coach will guide you in using the right language, structuring your resume for impact, because your resume is judged based on impact and accomplishment, and then showcasing your strength. And it doesn't end there. One of the things I always tell the students is, listen, your training continues in the interview. It is in the interview you know whether you know. And here we will help you to prepare for common tech interview questions, practice technical and behavioral interview responses, and boost your confidence. There's what we call the hot seat. You boost your confidence. We'll ask you questions as though you were in a real interview, based on the things that you're looking for, you're going for. Okay? So you translate your past experience into answers that resonate with the tech interviewers. The fourth thing you want to do is your network. If you're navigating alone, you have limited connections with professionals in the industry. It could affect your collaboration. So you want to be able to, have access to tech events, and you can even get those online. In fact, just a day before yesterday, there's one of our guys who he has a recruiting agency and is also a BA. He finished from here, so he just having that as a side job. Most times he gives us referrals. He gives us referrals for jobs in Calgary, for jobs in Saskatoon, for jobs in some areas, right? He gives us these references. Do you think if I see such references, I will take it to somewhere else? No, it will be within the community. And sometimes you want to apply for RBC. We have somebody that is in RBC. Sometimes you want to apply to a job in CIBC. We have somebody in CIBC. Sometimes you want to apply to a job, that has global branches. We may have 1 or 2 people there. And sometimes when you apply via referral, you will get an interview at least. So networking is another gap you want to be able to fill. The fifth one is a very key one, and don't underrate this one. This one is key, is huge. I can tell you several stories on this one. It is that lack of motivation and lack of support system. In fact, I think we were on this call. One of the ladies, God bless her heart, lost the job because she didn't have support. She said it herself, that I got the job, but after 3 months, I didn't have the support that I needed. I was just new to this thing. I had to let it go. Support is key. And it's not just on the job. You must understand that support is multifaceted. And let me explain that to you. Feeling isolated or without a support system during your transition to tech. I have had students who went on to get 2-3 jobs, but guess what? They were about to give up. So don't think support is just on the job support. Sometimes it is emotional support. I always tell my students, before you give up, call me to tell me you are giving up. And I know why I tell them that. Before you give up. Because listen, to transition to any role at all, you will get rejections. It's part of the movement. You will get rejections. Some of you will get to the point where you feel like, am I doing the right thing? And you want to give up. And it's just only 1 month. You want to give up. If there's nobody to talk you up, you will let it go. That is money down the drain. You've just spent another $1,000 or 1,000 whatever dollars you paid. The money down the drain. I can give you examples. I can tell you about this guy called Akram. Tell you his story quickly. Let me tell you his story quickly. So Akram, this guy, he's not a beard. He's looking good now. But I remember when he called me one afternoon and said, Michael, listen, I'm done. I'm giving up. Because I've done 2 interviews. Just 2 interviews, 2. He said, I've done 2 interviews. I didn't get the job. I've applied to several places. And I told him, listen, can I tell you something? So I spent about 1 hour talking to him, and I ended that call with this. You know, sometimes we tell you, oh, we'll meet with you just twice, we'll meet you. But there's sometimes, this is human relationship. So I told him, can you give me another 3 interviews? I told him, because he was trying to navigate the interview by himself. You see, that's another thing students do. He was trying to navigate it because we give you interview prep videos. I hope you know that. We give you interview prep videos. So he was trying to navigate it by himself. And I like that. Okay? Trying to be independent. So what I told him was this. After all the talk we talked, I said, give me 3 interviews. That's what I told him. Give me 3 interviews, and I will make sure you get 1 job. Who will listen to that kind of thing and will not be motivated? So he said, Michael, you said 3 interviews, right? I said, yes. Go and hustle. That's your new hustle. Get me 3 interviews. And guess what? He gave me just 2 interviews. And he got 1 job. I said, guy, I asked for 3. You're giving me 2. I want you to get 2 jobs. He said, no, Michael, this one is enough. He's earning 6 figures as a consultant in J&J. And he used his health experience from Ohio Health. He was giving up. Or is it Ibrahim? Or should I talk about Faith? In fact, Faith's own was terrible. You know why? Because she was having interviews back to back. But you see, the problem with Faith was that she already did a boot camp before. So, that's the problem with when somebody had done a boot camp before and you're coming to our boot camp. Sometimes they feel like they know it all. So she wasn't listening to the things I was telling her. Sometimes when somebody wants to prove that they know too much, just let them be. So one of those days I told her, can you record your answers during one of your interviews? Just record your answer and send it to me. Can you do that for me? She said, yes, I'll do it. So she recorded it. She sent it to me. After listening for 5-10 minutes, I put my hand on my head and I shook my head. I said, this is the reason why she hasn't gotten a job. Because when people think they know, they may be making mistakes and they can't see the mistake, especially when they don't want to take instructions from you. So what I did was, can I have a meeting with you? So I had a meeting with her. And I said, I want you to listen to this conversation. And I played it. And then for the first time, when you are talking, sometimes when you're in an interview, you think you smashed it. So I played it. I didn't even go 5 minutes into the conversation. She was saying, Michael, please turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. So for the first time, she was hearing herself. She was hearing what she was saying in an interview. I said, how will they give you a job? These kind of responses. How? So for the first time, she came to the realization that she was the problem. And then she started listening to me. But you see, that, I won't lie to you, that did not solve the problem. She was learning. She needed to relearn again. So that took her some time to learn. But in the process, what happened? She got to the point where she gave up. I begged her to go for one last interview. I remember that day like my name. I spent 1 hour, 30 minutes on the call, begging her to go for this last interview. She went for the last interview. Guess what? She opened her laptop. The person on the other side of the call asked her, "What is your name?" She said, "My name is Faith." The person on the other side of the interview said, "My name is Faith." And that was the beginning and the end of the interview. They started talking about Faith. And in the afternoon, she got a letter that she has a BA job. Now tell me, if there was nobody pushing her to go the extra mile, do you think she would have gotten to the point where she got a job? Now she has gotten a job. This same company sponsored her to the University of Toronto to gain more skills. She has been promoted 2-3 times. Yes, we have on our new website, you would see her story. By the time we launch this, you'll see her story here. I think we'll probably get a video story. This is her, Faith Momo. You know, so there are you need to break that gap of support. Yes, you need support. So you join our tech transition groups, you engage in career counseling, we provide you that emotional and professional support for your journey to help you stay motivated and feel less alone. Plus on-the-job support. But this on-the-job support, we are planning to start charging very soon. Because now you're earning 6-figure, you should be able to pay for your on-the-job support. Okay. But you see, the reason why we don't charge for it is because most of our students are once they are done with the stuff, they don't even disturb us that much. If you see our students asking for on-the-job support, it's just maybe they want to bounce something off you. They want to say, "Hey, okay, come and help me. Olu, come and help me look at this. Or Michael, come and help me look at this. John, come and help me look at this." That's all. They typically know what they want to do. So, but you get the on-the-job support. Okay, so let me tell you about what we offer. So I've given you everything from knowledge. You get the business analysis knowledge. You get product ownership knowledge. You get data analysis video course. So we give you data analysis when you register as a video course. You get access to the recording. You get data analysis workshop for free. And that value could be as well huge. Everything is in Canadian dollars, but of course, you can get it in your own currency. What you pay is this. The practical skills, you can do up to 2 live projects. You can have weekly sessions. You can do project guidance. You build a portfolio of experience. You can easily pay this. This is the value, but you pay, we don't charge you for it. It's a bonus. The coaching, you get resume clinic 101, you get interview session 101, you get general coaching sessions where you join with other people. You get interview prep videos, that one you can have it for life. You get interview question bank. How much will you pay for that? That's zero. There are referrals when we have them, the transition groups, you don't have to pay for that. And then the support, you don't pay for that. And on top of that, we are saying just to also encourage you to take that step, we're giving you discounts on top of that. All right. So instead of making that payment of 1,890, we're giving you a 20% discount. You can use that discount code to make that payment. And then we can give you a 15% discount for your 3-time payment. All right. For all these things you're going to get. All right. So for those of you who will be going ahead, okay, that's going to bring me to the end of my presentation. But for those of you who will be going ahead to make the payments, please take the discount code. I'm going to put this down here. Now, for some of you who say, my problem is not the bootcamp, I want to do something else, I would share this sheet with you. You can look at it. If your link to make a payment is not here, you can reach out to us on WhatsApp. So there's a link to reach out to us here. So I'm going to paste this link. I'm going to share it with you. Okay, I'm going to share this link with you quickly. On that link, you will see the link to make a payment. You can also use the code one-time payment. And then for those of you who have made the payment, Amma is going to reach out to you within the week. Okay, within next week before we proceed. Okay, so you get information. We'll add you to all of the platforms that we use. Okay, so you're going to get access to the videos. So for those of you who have already made payment, by next week we'll start adding you to some of the videos already. Okay, so let me show you some of the videos. So you have access to your recording. You can see like this is August group. Okay, you have access to all the recordings that you have. And apart from that, you're going to have access to the interview prep sessions. Okay, there's quite a lot of those sessions that we have in there. So you're going to have access to all of these sessions. Trust me, there are people who have navigated just the interview prep videos and gotten a job. So you're going to have access to that. What else? You're going to have access to the self-paced course. I'm going to show you the self-paced course quickly in a bit. So you're going to have access to the self-paced course also. And you're going to have access to the live session. So just in case you don't want to wait for 10 weeks, all right, you can start running through. So for those of you who will look into stakeholder management and some other things which we've not done this week, we'll start afresh from next week, all right, taking you step by step from the business analysis to project management and framework, talking about Scrum, Kanban, the quizzes, requirement engineering. We'll talk about all of that requirement. So you can have all of these, okay? By next week, we're going to be adding you to all of these. So just in case you want to run faster than us, you have access to all of these, to product ownership, to the data module, Excel, Power BI, SQL, the CV sessions that we typically hold, technology and design for BA, and even the extras. The extras are like some practical sessions that we do. For example, when we talk to you about elicitation, all right? Discovery workshop. What is that? Sprint Zero workshop. So there are some workshop sessions that we had in the past that were very nice, right? So we decided to put them here so that you can see how a workshop is done. Okay, we did like practical workshops so you can have a feel of this. Yeah. So anything that we discuss and we are talking on the call or in the workshop, so you can see how the workshop was done, okay, how we interacted with the designer, with the students, okay, because every project is different. So we just take some very nice, like, what does it mean to have a sprint planning session? Of course, we have our sprint planning sessions every day. For those of you who will be joining from next week, you can join our stand-up every day, like our stand-up, our retrospective, demo sessions, all those things you do in Scrum and Agile, we do it on the platform, okay? So you're going to be added to Bootcamp, where you can have access to, so everything. So it's, again, what we do is to make you, it's just like once you're done with our platform, it's just like you're doing a job and you're moving to another job. It's simple. That's what it is like. All right. So you would have access to stand-ups and your project session. By the time you're done, like these guys, they are done with their training. So now they can attend stand-up sessions, every day, because we have stand-up every day. All right. And if you cannot attend, just attend a few so that you have the practical understanding of how that is done. All right. And then you come to your weekly project sessions every week. So you'll be added to these. You have access to all the materials that we share, from the module deck to resume samples to the exercise to the decks to the project folder, every single thing. Okay. And even on the project folder, you can go to the design, interact with the designer on the design. All right. All these things you have access to, and you should, by the end of the training, be able to defend both your previous experience and any other experience you gather on this platform from the lens of a business analyst. well, I can't do beyond that. All right. I've been able to unpack and give you everything that I feel I have been able to use for the 150 plus people I have helped in the past 3 years. And I think though that technique is also, that blueprint is also going to work for you. All right. So if you are looking to join, the discount extends till Tuesday. Okay. It extends till Tuesday next week. Okay. By Wednesday, we are set to go. All right. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, please reach out to us on the platforms on WhatsApp and Telegram. Give us a call, and then we'll be able to help you navigate. All right. Any questions? Any questions before we call it a day? All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and I will see you on the journey next week. Bye for now. Bye for now, everyone.